Good morning, everyone. I know tight's not the right word. I guess it's tight under these circumstances. Let's begin with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning and just give you the praise. We know that you have everything under control despite our emotions and our finances and our concern each day for our own health and that of the folks that live here in Titus County, and we just look to you, Father, to get us through all of this, whatever that looks like. We just pray that you will take away our worry, our fears, our concerns, and just give us a calm and a peace. We turn this meeting over to you and ask that you guide us with wisdom. We pray for these that have come today expressing concerns about a variety of things. We just ask, Lord, that we be able to figure out a way to help them. Lord, we just give you the glory. We thank you for sending your Son, Christ, and it's in his name that we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to our meeting today. It is the 27th of April, 2020, just after 9 a.m. This is our second regular meeting of the month, one we call our special meeting, and we'll begin with item number 1. Just to kind of tell you how we do this, you're open to speak on any of these agenda items as we get to them. This is a specially allocated time here at the beginning where we typically hear from you on non-agenda items. But you can certainly stick around. If there's anything else that you want to talk about here, you can wait until that particular item. I have number 8 here on the agenda, which is discuss county operations in light of COVID-19 with possible action. That's a standard item that I've had on the last 2 or 3 meetings. I don't necessarily have anything today for that particular item. If you're wondering what that's about, that's something that I have had on the agenda. So we will begin with item number 1. This is our public comment time and or requests for information on non-agenda items in accordance with our Open Meetings Act. And we'll be reasonable with the amount of time. If we can limit it to 3 to 5 minutes would be great. If you hear your message continue to be said over and over and you want to change your mind about speaking, that's up to you. But we will respect you and turn it over to you all now. I'll ask that you come up here to this podium, and I'm going to turn this mic over to you up there. So, anyone want to start us? All right.
My name is Alfred Flanagan, and I guess I'm somewhat responsible. I didn't intend to be for this becoming what it is today, but I hope to some degree I'm speaking in behalf of some of the business owners around town, maybe not everyone. What I have to say is my opinion and my opinion only. I would like to say that I appreciate the Commissioners Court allowing us to speak today in behalf of the local businesses in town. And I'd also like to say that I understand the court's position in trying to work within the guidelines of the governor's executive orders and also their own guidelines of what they feel is best for the community. I think these requirements have gone on long enough. When I saw the agenda item of number 8 this morning, I assumed that it had to do with some of the decisions that the county makes in concern with the regulations and the decisions that are made in behalf of the businesses. Most all businesses have seen a drastic reduction in the last 6 weeks in their ability to work. and be obedient to the governor's decisions and guidelines of the local authorities. There does, however, reach a point that the owners of the businesses have to do what's best for them and their families. And I think, in all honesty, we're at that point. Some of these people, as I spoke with them last week, have not had a paycheck for 5 to 6 weeks because their businesses have shut down. And the ones that were able to remain open, that might be called essential businesses, have seen their businesses reduced tremendously. I would venture to say that if the Commissioner's Court asked all the employees of Titus County, and if the city asked all the employees of the city and so on, as far as the taxing entities, to reduce their income by, say, 50% or to no income, they'd probably have everybody up here this morning with the business owners. And I'll take it a step further by saying that I would venture to say that if the taxing entities had to reduce their income in tax dollars this year by, say, 50% or open up the businesses, I'm guessing that they would be opening up the businesses right now because they're not going to reduce their income from tax dollars by 50% or whatever would deem necessary. I know there's a group of citizens on the task force that are making recommendations. They're heard. They've decided in general what we should be doing. But as I look at the pictures of the people on the task force, all of them are still receiving their paycheck through tax dollars. And there was only one who's representing the city that would probably be considered an independent business person that does not rely on tax dollars for their income. Nobody's pay has been reduced that are paid by tax dollars. But the people that are paying many of the tax dollars, their pay has been reduced in their businesses. I don't know what the legal repercussions are and the decisions making, the individual businesses making a decision to go against the executive orders of the governor of Texas. What I do know is that state officials rely a lot on the local taxing authorities, or the elected officials, let's say. And the decisions of the elected local people, city, county, schools, go a long way with those out of Austin in making some of those decisions. I think if the people locally, our elected officials locally, would open up our businesses and allow the businesses to set their own guidelines as to what's best for them, then I think that there would be no repercussions from the state. Most people in business, if they have their own business, they're considered risk takers. And I think that most of them that are here today and were unable to be here today would be willing to run that risk to open their business and do it with the best guidelines possible for them. If they don't, they possibly could lose business, and I think they're attuned enough to what their customers need that they would be willing to do the things necessary for their customers and their employees to be safe. I guess after that I have just a couple of questions. And if, obviously we have enough room today, but I was going to ask if there were people that were unable to be inside due to the numbers, where would they go to be able to watch the remaining part of the meeting and how the commissioners vote on the issues? Also, I would like to ask, and I'm not looking for a vote, I'm looking for a nod or an idea of what the commissioners and the county judge would be willing to do in terms of opening the business, allowing the business owners to open up full force. Al, would you?
agree that you should be able to run the business as you described and make the decision savings. I agree with that.
Dana, how you feel about it?
Well, we are hurting. It's bad, and I just see that let the businesses kind of see what they want to do. And it's like I said, I want them to be as safe as they can be because and like me going into business and I want to be not catch whatever this coronavirus is, but I know it's tough, and but I know it's going to get better. I hope, but that if the business owners they can do it, let them do what they have to do.
I feel like that it's time that we start opening some businesses up and allow them to use their guidelines. I mean, we've got to have some, I realize too, but I realize that it's time that we start working towards getting our businesses and all open, because I know a lot of our small businesses are hurting tremendously. So.
Well, I feel like we ought to go with the state guidelines with the governor. I think we're required to do that as elected officials under his watch. I am ready for them to open up just like everybody else is. I feel like things are lightening up, especially our county's been doing good, but we just had a big, massive outbreak in Parish yesterday that's really scary. I don't feel like we have the authority to tell people to wear masks. I think we should highly recommend it. I highly recommend wearing one. I want to wear one and protect others, protect myself. But I don't really feel like we as local county government have a right to pass a law to say you've got to wear a mask. CDC recommends it, but there's not a law for it, even as far as even the president. That's a choice. That's our liberty if we want to wear that. So that's where I stand on it.
Well, and I think my closing thought would be, and I've spoken long enough, but in the reports coming out in the news this weekend across the nation, there's states that are already starting to open up, and whether the governor decide, it's hard for somebody else to decide what's good for a business.
I hope we'll get that news today when the governor talks.
And his pay hadn't stopped either.
I'm hoping that today's the day we'll start opening back up.
But, looking at other states, I think we're a little bit late to the dance because they're already starting to open up in other states, all their businesses. But anyway, I appreciate it. I do understand y'all's role in your position so far. I do hope that you make the decision for the local people to let us go ahead and run wide open. Thanks.
I'll tell you what would help me as you all come up, and I'd like to know from you in making these decisions, if you can kind of give me some specifics on things that are in force right now that you believe, if removed, would help your business. Again, maybe there's something out here that I don't know about that's in place right now that has specifically said, if you had it, my business would be okay. And that way I can share that with these collaborators. But we've been accused a lot of closing down businesses. And if you'll look back and read the orders that were put in place on April 2nd, at that time, I did not glean from the governor's order that he said non-essential businesses must close. In the wording that I read in there, that's not what I got. And the group that I meet with each morning specifically did not close non-essential businesses. We essentially said any business that wants to operate in this community that can maintain continue to be open. There are certain of you that are not going to be able to maintain that and therefore can't stay open. But again, I hear you all loud and clear, but while you all are making your presentation, if you can tell me some certain things that if you make this my business better.
How are you this morning? I'm Galen Adams. I come to you today as a business owner and a civic leader in the city of Mount Pleasant. I'd like to say today that every citizen has an inherent right to provide for his or her family. We started this with 15 days of slow, and then we proceeded to 30 days to slow. We've completed that. I feel like we've all done a good job. And at some point, this turned into an eradication process. We all know that that'll never happen. We must move forward. All business owners have changed our business plans at the drop of a hat, and the restaurants are taking precautions to prevent the spread of the virus. We've always schooled and educated our employees on hygiene and standard procedures to protect from the cross-contamination and also the spread of illness as well. The others that are skilled in this area that are completely closed are barbers and cosmetologists, and I understand that y'all don't control that. That's a TDLR thing, but we do have some people out there that are not earning paychecks at all. We know how, as restaurant owners, to protect our friends, and I assure you that if we don't take steps to do that, the customer base will not follow us, okay? So we, as a group, restaurant owners in general, as I'm speaking today, we will take plans and put plans and steps in place to protect people. Some things that would help there, I might give some information to people. You can change to use portion control items, single-use items, which my business already does anyway, for the most part. You can do a lot of things like that, and I intend to fully do that. Also, I would like to encourage all citizens with underlying issues and conditions to actively take steps to protect themselves from here forward. COVID-19 is not going away. Y'all understand that. But overall, it's time for Texans to go back to work. We use declarations to put restrictions in place. And I'd like to ask at a minimum that Friday morning, Judge Lee and the mayor put out a joint statement asking all citizens to follow steps put forth by the governor today in his speech at 2:30, asking that businesses and citizens alike work together, letting them know that we continue to work for their safety and their well-being, but simply stating that Titus County and the city of Mount Pleasant are open for business. I would prefer, if you would prefer to not do a joint statement, if you would prefer to call a joint session of the city and the county Friday morning to vote on this and call it a joint resolution. I can't speak for others, but from this point forward, I'm prepared to raise my hand and say aye on that. Thank you. Is there any other, as far as restaurants are concerned, the only thing that we can do, possibly thin your tables out. We have a plan in place for Friday morning. If we're allowed, we're moving tables, some outside, some inside. We'll adjust some spacing in that area. Try to spread people out as much as possible. We'll adjust the order line area where people are separated as much as possible. But once again, you said it Friday, I believe it's Friday, maybe Thursday, but if we don't take hard, concrete steps, our customer base will not follow us here. People are smart, okay? We're smart. We know what to do, and I assure you that we won't do anything that will put our lives or our customers, which basically are our friends. We're not going to put anybody's life in jeopardy. Thank y'all.
Is there anything that the local government has got in place right now?
Yes, I would like to see remove the masking permits, okay? I went to a completely outside car hop situation. The masks for my car hops are not safe, okay, period. They're not safe. My girls are wearing gloves right now. I do not like them wearing gloves, but I put gloves on them because I felt like that's what the customers wanted, okay? So we put gloves on them. They're handling, they're walking in and out. It's hot outside already. Can you imagine 30 days from now? They're touching their face. Their mask. They're pulling their mask down so they can breathe. They cannot breathe outside in this heat, okay? So they pull the mask down so they can catch their breath. If they have it on their hands, it is on the mask. And that mask is sitting on their face. And they are breathing that in. It is not safe. I have continued to do it because I am a city council member, and I do not want anybody taking pictures and saying Galen Adams as a city council member is not following the law. But I cannot, in good faith, tell my people that they need to wear a mask from here on out. It is not safe. That's it.
Well, I guess out of whatever you want to call it, I'm the other party that's responsible with Alfred. We began talking with concern of what was going on in our community. I know that this court has, and judge, has taken all the precautions that it deemed necessary. And I'll kind of change because I don't want to keep what I had to say because I don't want to keep repeating. So I'll kind of start with yours, Judge. I have actually had phone calls to my business stating that as long as the mask was in effect, that they will not do business in Titus County. And I personally know friends and family that have left Titus County to go do business elsewhere, grocery stores and other merchants. I haven't. As many other business owners, I don't want to be seen outside Titus County buying groceries, but others have. And I feel like we've got to get that stopped. As far as the state, I know that we have orders. I hope I'm stating this right, Galen. I think the governor is going to speak today, and I hope it's all in our favor. But as leaders in our community, I think it's time to stand up and maybe be leaders in our state. And maybe if enough of our counties and leaders will do that, maybe the governor will see that. You know, this is a democratic republic by the people and for the people. And we've got to remember that. We've got to remember what leadership is. And it comes from the bottom up, not from the top down here. You know, I tried to find something on what leadership was. Our founding fathers used many historical documents for the foundation of our country, and one of the most important ones was the Bible, in my opinion. And I looked to see what leadership, possibly Scripture, was that they may have used. Mark 10:43-44, Christ was talking to John and James about leadership. Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be a slave of all. You know, I think that as leaders, if we're leading in Christ and we're getting all of our power from God, then we are a servant of Him. And if a government that's by the people and for the people is supposed to be getting all of its power from the people, then we all must be servants to one another. And I think that we've got to realize moving forward that if we want to move forward in our community like these guys have said, we've got to take those precautions. You guys have done it. I applaud you for it. Let's move on. Let's open up. Even if we're the first in Texas, let's open up. Let's show Texas what Titus County's about. And let's move on. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here as a private citizen and also for the Republican Party of Titus County. Let me get that adjusted right. And my message is pretty simple. It's time to open Titus County for business. And all businesses are essential, and all businesses could be open today. Early in the process, we were informed that COVID-19 was a deadly pandemic, and immediately our emotions sprang into actions. Executive orders and declarations were issued motivated by fear of the unknown. Businesses, churches, restaurants, schools were ordered to be closed. People were told to isolate themselves from others and shelter in place. Grocery stores' shelves were depleted of every essential thing you could think of. The hospital was directed to shut down its services. And last week, the order of face masks, making it mandatory in public places. And the fear-mongering to the point that people are now afraid to even associate with each other as neighbors. I've seen people look at me as though I was holding a loaded weapon aimed at them at different times. Then late last week, we got some other news that maybe we've been unintentionally wrong about the whole situation. Doctors are doing serology tests in major populations of New York and California, which are showing that beyond our population who have tested positive for COVID-19, there are as many as 55 to 85% of the population who are resistant to COVID-19 because of their own antibodies. Every disease, or either the disease never affects them, they develop minor symptoms and get quickly well, or they're asymptomatic. And then the medical profession has stepped in and now suggesting that exposure could be a good thing. It's the way we used to look at measles when my kids were little. Isolation and social distancing could arguably have an adverse effect of slowing the virus down and by retarding the natural building of antibodies. President Trump has asked the states to reopen for business and do it quickly. And we can the serology test and the statistics to make some decisions, because I'm about facts rather than just emotions when you make some this. But in the state of Texas, the population of 29 million people, about 276,000 have been tested for COVID-19. That's 9/100ths of 1%. Positive COVID-19, about 30,000 people. That's 8/1000ths of 1%. Hospitalized for COVID-19, 1,500 people. That's 10,000ths of 1% in our population. Deaths due to COVID-19, 648, and these statistics are on the Department of State Health Services as of yesterday. The 648 deaths really are 1/10,000th of 1%. And I don't want to underplay the seriousness of COVID-19, but it appears that it's maybe not much different than dealing with the normal flu season, as people have suggested. Is there anything rational or noble then about keeping businesses and churches closed? The governors of other states like Georgia and Florida and Tennessee and South Carolina are already way ahead of Texas in opening for business. In fact, South Dakota never closed. Much resistance there, but she never closed. Here, oil is plunging, unemployment is surging, high records of unemployment. And we have a governor who makes an announcement about making an announcement about waiting on a 5-star task force to suggest how to open Texas. And I really hope we do hear something of substance today. I believe it's time for this court, however, to step up and to provide real leadership. The law gives this court great latitude with opening Titus County for business. We are not Dallas, we're not Houston, we're not Austin or San Antonio. In Titus and our surrounding 4 counties, there are a total of 28 cases of COVID-19 and a combined population of about 81,000 people and no deaths. And it's hard to measure that statistically, but it comes out to 3/1000th of a percent. So why wait for the governor to instruct us? We know how to end this. We can begin it now. We are not going to fit into the one-size-fits-all plan that comes out of Austin anyway. What works for Dallas is not going to work here. What's necessary for a dense population is not what a rural population needs. And this court has the authority to do what works best for the citizens here in Titus County. I believe all restrictions in our community should be lifted immediately, get people back to work, resume normal life. And of course, we need to protect the most vulnerable. I get that, the elderly and those with compromised respiratory systems, but we would do that anyway. People should be encouraged to practice best health and hygiene procedures and voluntarily use gloves or masks if they choose to. And I happen to believe our community we act very responsibly to protect the families and neighbors without restrictions. And I also believe free market principles need to be put in place. Let the market decide whose business stays open and whose does not the government. Let people choose the companies to do business with. All businesses can open in Titus County today without restrictions. The business owners in this room will take every precaution necessary to protect their customers, and customers will choose to shop and dine where they want to. Put the coffee pot back on at Herschel's and Whataburger for those morning clubs who meet there all the time, and open the church doors. And cut out the retail-to-go plans too. Order online and pick up at the door, that's ridiculous. How are you going to know what Lviv or Hamilton's has in their store unless you go in and look at the shelves? Free market principles should dictate what we do here in Titus County. And I believe it's time Titus County is open for business, all business without restrictions.
Good morning. Thank you all for your time. My name is Jeff Wagner. I'm with CC's Pizza here in town. To address your concern, I think my business will be, not that it's any greater difference than Galen's or anybody else, but we are a buffet. So it's going to be a little bit different than, the main effect is people coming in, the schools, coming in, all the buses that we get, and all the business through the schools and churches and things like that. I've been on kind of a task force with our corporate office. I've been with them for 31 years, so I'm kind of one of the old timers. We've already talked about how we would probably serve the pizza with, our kids with gloves on, serve the pizza to them instead of people going down the buffet, if that's something that we have to do. The mask, again, great point. It's hard. It's, there's 600 degrees coming out of each one of our ovens. We turn all three on and you're standing back there cutting with the mask on. It's not fun because I'm the cutter, I know. The things that are going to be put in place, like Galen said, we already have to deal so much with the health department, and we have so many guidelines that we have to deal with. We would know what to do. We've already talked about it corporately. We talked about it, through the businesses in town. We've already talked to each other going, hey, what are y'all going to do? What are you going to do with this? What are you going to do with that? I think that it's definitely time. My sales are down 83%. You go from doing X amount a week to doing, standing there staring out the window 4 or 5 hours at a time without the phone ringing for a takeout order. And we've also seen already this week, the people that come in, 70% don't have their mask when they come in. It's only from here to there to come in our door, but you say, okay, you have to put your mask on. They have to go back to their car. Some leave. They don't go back and get their mask. So then we have food that we just have to throw away, so it's a waste. I think one point that I've struggled with the whole time with this is the essential business. My business is essential to me. It's essential to my employees. It's essential to the people that I buy from. The produce company, our corporate office that has 3 people left working in it, because they furloughed everybody for 2 months. That's essential. My wife is a nail technician and does facial. She hasn't worked for 3 or 4 weeks now. So I think every essential, the essential business thing could be reworded maybe a little bit better because it's essential to me and my family and my employees. I think that if we do get to open, the plans have already been placed. We've already dictated in our restaurant, we can seat 230 people, but we've already dictated and put little stickers on tables going, okay, we know we can't use this table or this table or this table if we have to do the, like here, the 6 foot apart. We've already we know which tables we can use, which one we can't. We know what our capacity is. If we have to go to 50%, we know, okay, how many people we can let in. We'll have the person run the register, have a little clicker like you do in baseball, counting pitches, count people coming in, and then just tell them to wait. They've done it before. They know we get 5, 6 buses at a time. You got to wait. You wait your turn to go to the buffet. But that will be a little bit different than some of the business, being that we are a buffet and it's kind of a ongoing move in, move out. So we do have the plans in place. We hope that we do get good news from the governor today, and we get good news from y'all. I really appreciate y'all listening to everybody's what they have to say. It could be good, could be bad, but did you have any other questions as far as what we do there? Because it is a little bit different than you come in, order, set down, and you can bring it to your table. It is a kind of the all the cows going through the pen at one time. So it's a little bit different operation than some. So, I mean, did you have any other questions or concerns as far as safety? Right.
You do business the way you've been asked to do it for the last week. You know you're going to turn away a lot of the other people. You got to find that out. I personally trust you. I hope you might give us permission today to tell everybody, heard the governor, will open all of our restaurants. I hope that's the case.
All right. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Denise Riker, private citizen and candidate for commissioner. Something that is bothering me, and I'm seeing with all of these people here, the stress that they're under and the lack of coming and seeing their items or them being open or their employees being, is our property taxes. It's going to affect our budget for next year, which y'all will be working on shortly. If they can't pay their taxes, they have no business, they can't do that. If they don't have a job, they can't do that. I think we need to look at either an adjustment or some way to freeze the current tax appraisal rates, go back to last year's, or furloughs, or some type of way to accommodate and make it a little easier for people to comprehend what's happening in our area. The mask, it's proven in the medical field that causes you to get sick a lot of times. We have other diseases amongst our community that you run into every day. Hepatitis C, TB. We've dealt with those day in and day out. County health officer takes care of those complaints. Think that the county health officer can take care of basically policing what we're doing. Your business, y'all have the choice whether to. That's just a viewpoint that I'm seeing from and hearing out here. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sunny Mahoney. I wasn't planning on speaking this morning, but we have 10-plus nail salons here in town, and I estimate there's about 150 nail professionals that are affected. We haven't had a paycheck for 4 to 6 weeks. I speak for myself. I believe that we can maintain the social distancing. With our salon, we've been sitting our clients at every other stations, which is 6 feet apart. We already have strict guidelines in sanitation through TDLR. Please consider reopening nail salons along with hair salons if possible. In our professions, most nail techs, we already wear masks to protect ourselves from dust and such. We can make our customers wear masks and mandatory to wash hands when they first come into the salon, if that's what it takes for our business to open. We can also look into plexiglass like the grocery stores are doing and the gas stations to protect our clients and protect ourselves for each stations. We believe that if hair salons would be able to reopen, so should nail salons. I employ 6 girls, and several girls are single moms. If we are thinking about going 2 and 3 months without a paycheck, it would be very detrimental and difficult for my girls and my family. Thank you.
As I sit there, I was just thinking about the committee that is meeting on this. Is their idea of the level of the COVID-19 numbers before they would say, let's open back up? Has that been discussed? I mean, where does it have to go for us to open back up? That's what I was... Yeah. I mean, you're the one on the committee with these people, and I just wondered if they had whatever the state of Texas says, what is Titus County's thinking on where those numbers have to be for us to reopen?
I don't think that we've established that number. When we implemented, and again, don't blame these guys back up here. You know, this is my doing, and they did have to approve it, but that masking order was made, it'll be 2 weeks ago, Thursday. And at that time, we were particularly concerned about a local plant case. Very concerned. I'm still concerned, but I'm 11 days into it, and I'm a lot less concerned than I was. I believe that we will continue to see cases, new cases, every week. And we may see a slight increase. But we are convinced that our hospital can handle it. Our hospital has not been taxed. I'm not going to say that universally, because I'm sure there's a lot of healthcare providers that will tell you it's been hell for them. But by and large, our hospital has capacity. In fact, we have capacity to help other neighboring communities. So we're a long way from stressing our healthcare system. But I think that if our committee believes, as I believe, that we're going to continue to add more cases, we're going to continue to have people well, we're going to have a rolling number of people that are actively suffering from COVID symptoms, and some will not be suffering. So my intention when I did those masking orders at that time was to go through the end of the month, the 30th, which is Thursday, not to extend it beyond that. And that's still my plan, and I've asked that question of this committee, and nobody has said, that's a bad decision. We need to continue masking. I believe that every one of you in business will find that balance, and if you find that wearing masks in your business is what it takes to get customers in the door, I believe you'll do it. I don't think you need me to tell you that. But back to your question, what number am I looking for? I don't know. Obviously, if we saw a huge spike and we quadrupled the number of cases we're adding on a week-to-week basis, you know, that might be an indicator that this thing is spiking up. But if we can maintain whatever a reasonable number is, and I'll try to get some consensus on that from the medical community each day when we talk, that I'm all for opening up business and letting you decide what works best for you. So that may not have answered your question. Right now we've got 15 cases. That's since day one. That's very minimal, and 4 of those were in 4 different situations were in the same household. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 common households there that had 2, 2, 2, and 3 within there, which is much better than a shotgun map of all these cases that are breaking out within this community. But 11 days ago, when we had this plant produce a case where we had an individual that was sick for multiple days in a row and finally too sick to go to work, and she decides to go to the doctor, and here she's been working in an environment where a spread was inevitable. Your decision process 11 days ago and today are very different, and I feel like we implemented that masking order based upon the best information that we possibly had. But as each day goes by, my attitude and my opinions change. You know, if any one of you are clairvoyant and could see 2 weeks into the future, I need you on my committee, because I don't have that capability. I'm going to do what I think is best on any particular given day. I may finish up in a summary statement, but I don't want to take anybody else's time. Please, y'all are here. You've made the time to come. I'd love to hear from you if there's anybody else. I haven't even broached the subject, no.
I'd like to say that I asked you at the last council meeting for our CFO to inform the department heads, and it might be something good for all the commissioners to look at. Y'all need to plan on the lane here. We've lost a lot of time, and I asked that our CFO inform all the department heads when they prepare for next year's budget, because we're starting to talk about it. Y'all need to prepare on the lane here.
Last call for public comment time. David, come on up.
Good morning, everybody. I want to thank y'all for calling the meeting and allowing us to come and speak. It's David Phillips, on Heavenly Foods, Heavenly Steaks. We have a local restaurant, a bakery. We've suffered dramatically, just like everybody else here has. The biggest thing I feel, no matter what the doctor says, I don't think anything is going to change. That's just my opinion, of course. But at some point, we do have to ask for God's wisdom, His grace, and making smart decisions and doing what we're doing, and to move forward with that, whether it be masks, gloves, any of those things in place. But we've got to move forward as far as a county, a state, society. We can't allow it to scare us to not live, to not have rights, to not flourish. God says we should prosper. We're not prospering like this. We're suffering. Same thing goes back to what Galen referred to is taxes. It's going to be tough. It's already tough on all the property value increases, things that we've discussed. This is going to make it even worse for us as a business owner to stay here, to stay open, or not move if things continue. Main thing is I feel we just need to open. We need to move forward. We do all have the training as far as health code, all those things. We're inspected regularly. I don't know if you want to have more frequent inspections by the city, things that make people feel more comfortable, that's fine. I'm always ready, so it doesn't bother me. That's how we live, and all my employees know that. But they also cannot afford to live right now without checks, without income, all those things that they're trying to survive with. Did you have any questions for us, Judge? Anything else as far as? No, sir. Mainly, yeah. I mean, it's 60% sit down. 60%. Yeah, it hurts. We've adapted. We have to, just like Galen has. We've adapted. I've started taking some different directions to try to survive. But we have to. We have no choice, or close the doors. Outside seating. I saw it in the beginning. I had some customers come and sit down. But that was before we had this 6-foot perimeter, so I feel that's a great idea. That's something I'm willing to do as well. If we have to move, tables and chairs outside, then so be it. A lot of people like outside seating. I know I do. The other thing was really just the budget, taxes, budget. Yeah, just the sheer strain of it. It's going to be tough. Thank you, sir. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Good morning. My name's Brady. We own Mardi Gras Seafood here in Mount Pleasant. Our restaurant is kind of the same way as y'all's with CC's. Ours is, I'd say probably 90% of our regular business is come in, sit down, have dinner. We don't do a lot of to-go orders. Since this is implemented, we have both stepped out of the restaurant, let all of our employees come in so they can try to get as many hours as possible to work. But the restaurant business, we're probably down 60-70% of just regular food sales. I won't speak a lot on the restaurant side of it because, these guys have already done all the same thing. But we also have the entertainment side of it with ours because we have the bar and we have the concert venue out back. We have, to give people an idea, we have canceled concerts that we had scheduled out back. Our first concert we canceled the second week of when all this started. That was about a $30,000 hit for our restaurant in money that we had to pay out to these customers because we're under contract with all these guys. We have to pay them. Once we sign the contract, then that's it. We're in. So, we've carried on business at hand, but I'd say that probably 40% of the entertainment of our business is entertainment, not just restaurant, and we're getting zero part of that. I'm in communications with the other people that own the bowling alley and stuff like that here in town regularly. We're really good friends, and all his guys are working building decks at their house. They're all starving to death. He tells me every day, hey, we have no business. What do you do? Do you have work? Can our people work at your restaurant to help you? We're all trying to work together to make it, but it is rough. We do need to open, and we need to but there's other restaurants or there's other businesses that are still open that don't employ near the cleaning and stuff that we do. Like every time y'all come, if you were to come eat at our restaurant, when you leave, that table is completely sanitized, wiped down, booths, everything, every single time. Every single dish that goes out of the restaurant, they're cleaned and sanitized every single time. We hand wash them and they run through a commercial dishwasher. There's lots of things that we do already when I feel like the restaurants were just attacked as we were the ones that were spreading this thing. There's lots of other things going on other than just what we do. So, I know most other places like Galen and them, everybody cleans everything. And a lot of, especially the places that have like one-time use items, me and my wife have already talked about it. If we get to reopen, we're not going to do regular cups. We're going to get rid of them. Everybody's going to get to-go cups. Take them with you. Don't leave them there. There's lots of things we can do, and we're prepared to do that, and we need to get open to get back to normal life. Thank y'all for y'all's time.
Wes Welch, former business owner here in Mount Pleasant. One thing I'd like to address first, Judge, I believe Alfred brought it up, was the fact that everyone on your task force is paid by tax dollars. I think that's not a good representation on a force or a group like that. There needs to be business owners on that task force or that committee or whatever you want to call it going forward, because there was no drop-off in all of those individuals' income. Everybody kept receiving a paycheck. We've heard all these business owners talk about how their employees haven't got a paycheck in 4 to 6 weeks. And you've got a task force of individuals paid by tax dollars making the decisions that affect the entire county. So from what I've seen this morning is government at all levels is still operating. There's been parts of the government that's been shut down, but I doubt those government employees have missed a paycheck. But then you got business owners out here whose employees are missing a paycheck. So that's not a clear picture right there. That's not a clear picture. So I just want to sum it up by saying the government's still operating. it's time for Titus County and everybody else to operate. Everybody get back to work. Thank you.
First of all, the good analogy on the committee, this wasn't a committee that was handpicked by me. I think a lot of these people just kind of rose up from leadership positions and asked to be a part of that. If there is any of you that would like to join our conference call in the morning, I'll be glad to give you the dial-in number and code. You can listen, you can voice your comments. This is not a closed group. I don't think we have any limitations on the number of people that can call in and listen to that. Chief, do you know of any limitations? You can hear firsthand what I'm hearing, and I try my best to convey the essence of those conversations to you on Facebook for anybody that listens to that. But again, this is not a closed group. This is not a super secret sorority or fraternity that only you can, only governmental people can be on. So I'll be glad. In fact, I'm going to give you those numbers right now. I'll leave that up to you. I'm talking to just business people out here, non-governmental folks. The phone number $872-240-3212. And let me get you the access code here. Just take me a moment here, just bear with me. $858-674-229. If you would give me the courtesy of letting me know in advance if you would like to join. And we do discuss information on here that is proprietary. And when I say proprietary, it's sensitive. We don't discuss a lot of stuff like that, but we do ask that everybody on that committee be prudent and not disclose when it's inappropriate to disclose. So if you will let me know, my phone number is easy to remember, 903-466-6666. If you just give me a heads up and let us know when you join the meeting so that we know who is on there. Thanks, everybody. Typically, it's 10 o'clock on weekdays and 1:30 on Sunday. Now, today we decided to wait until after the governor's message, so we're going to join at 4 o'clock daily, 7 days a week. 4 o'clock today, 4 o'clock today. So restaurants, gosh, I want y'all to open. Believe me, I know. I don't know. I can't imagine. I never experienced anything like that in 20 years of restaurant. But I will remind you that was the governor's order to close the restaurants. I can assure you I wouldn't have said, sorry, Governor, we don't think that's best for Titus County. Maybe you would have, I wouldn't have. Now, I'm ready for you to be open. I'm ready for you to find that way to operate your business, and those that feel comfortable coming will. But I also want to say, in defense of government, I think that a substantial part of our downturn in business is due to just the fear factor. People don't know how contagious this stuff was, and whether we had ever made any restrictions or not on restaurants, I think there's a certain element of people that wouldn't have come, and that's unfortunate, and I hope that can be reversed quickly. I hope that the customers in every one of your businesses will see the efforts that you're extending to protect them, and they will believe you, and they will believe that they are safe, and that you will see a dramatic and rapid spike up in your business. That's truly what I hope. So thank you for coming. Anyone that wants to stay, you're welcome to stay. We don't have anything real exciting on our agenda today. There is a spot there for the commissioners to listen and to give me their thoughts on any county changes related to COVID-19. If they want to consider dropping anything in the orders that are in place right now, they have the ability to override me. There's 4 of them and 1 of me. But as it stands right now, our current orders, and the onerous part of that is the masking orders, which again is required in retail stores, not just when you're out in the public. That stands to expire at 11:59 p.m. on Thursday night. But the commissioners could tell me to yank that right now. Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. Do they have their meeting now? He's not my relative. He's a good friend, though.
That's why. He's a good guy. He's already got his stuff kind of going. Luckily, not we just got one.
They're still going to have the ball field.
Yeah, I told him, I saw him. Put your grandson playing.
That's a gutsy. But one case, I got to tell you, I might be doing the same thing.
And that was travel related. It was somebody that came, it wasn't somebody.
Well, it's amazing to me that they kept it at that number, and I hope they continue. Believe you me.
They've seen history on CNN that they are proving sometimes that the sunlight, the humidity, the heat is killing this thing. Yet, we're supposed to sit inside where it's nice cold.
100 people, 100 opinions.
That's exactly right.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, let's direct ourselves back to our agenda, and we have patiently waiting at the back, item number 3, presentation by, oh no, we better approve those minutes, first of all. Item 2, consider and possibly approve minutes from our April 13th regular meeting of Commissioners Court.
Make a motion.
Motion is made by Commissioner Fitch for that approval.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We now have Michelle Cobern with court-appointed special advocates. CASA, our friends, and Michelle makes a presentation to us on a regular basis each year, and unfortunately we're not able to do the festivities that we might normally do that might involve some picture taking and refer you out to the pinwheels and shoes. But thank you for being here and being patient, and I'm sorry you weren't able to bring your ladies that normally come with you.
It's fine. I first would like to say my concerns are huge about COVID, and it's not just the sickness. It is the level of abuse and neglect that is going on while children are suffering silently at home with a mother and a father that has lost income, that is stressed out. Drinking has escalated. Domestic violence is going through the roof. And if the dog's not available to be kicked, guess who's going to get it? The child who's getting on their nerves. We have had 3 deaths so far in Texas of children, and the only reason we know about those is that they were so concerned they brought them to a hospital. So these children were beyond help. They were beaten to the point where they could not survive. We have 224 children this past year in Titus, Camp, and Morris counties. 124. And I'll tell you, if we were to stand here and say there is 52,397 people in Texas with COVID, we'd all be freaked out. We'd all be pretty upset. That's how many children are in foster care at this very moment in the state of Texas. I really wish more people would listen. I really wish more people would hear me, because this is 100% preventable. We don't need a serum or a shot or a respirator. We need people to actually care about our kids so they'll quit dying. We have a local case that I cannot talk about. other than to say that this child is permanently disabled for the rest of his life. He will never walk again because someone put their hands on him. And he's little, under the age of 5. Right here in Titus County. So I'll tell you, we're hearing a lot of things, and I don't know how y'all do it all. I really don't. But my fear is for these kids that are at home that are scared to death. Not because they're hungry, because they do not know when their parent's going to come in their room and sexually molest them because they're angry or they're drunk. All these food boxes going out, I get people are hungry. I get people don't have their jobs, and I get they're stressed out. But John Mark and I had the privilege a few Sundays not long ago of having a young man that has spent his whole life in foster care, and he's from Titus County. He was 18 months old when he entered foster care. And we have yet to find him a family, and he now just turned 16 years old in February. My husband, as the county attorney, is not supposed to be spending time with children in foster care. But I don't care about the rules. I care about children. That's what I care about. And Levi did come and spend the day with me. And I told my husband, I'm taking him out to eat at Wingstop. If you want to come, you can be there. If you don't, it's fine with me. But he will be there because I want him to see what a real family does. So on Sunday, he had run away from a place we put him in. And I begged him. I said, honey, please don't run away anymore. Someone's going to pick you up. And we won't ever find your body again. He said, Miss Michelle, do you know what it's like when they come in your room at night and they steal your stuff that you bought for me? Do you know what it's like when they constantly call me stupid or that nobody loves me or wants me? He said, I will do whatever you ask me to do if you will find me a family. That's all I want. So we put him on a plane that night. A plane. With a bunch of other people. Probably had COVID. And shipped him to El Paso because it's the only shelter in the state of Texas. So he left my office on 3rd Street, got on a plane with a CPS caseworker, flew to El Paso, and we stuck him in a shelter like we do with animals. And every day he would call me and say, I'm not leaving. I'm not running away because you promised me you're going to find me a family if I stay. I'm still working on that family. Everybody's under a lot of stress. This is hard for everyone. But I can't sleep. All we can do is FaceTime our children. And Austin's making decisions, trust me. Can't wait to get back there. But they're not shutting down these big group homes. One of my 15-year-olds is testing positive for COVID in a group home. So now everybody's, quarantined in this group home. There's about 80 of them there. He's the only one testing positive. Titus County boy. He's scared to death. He said, Mr. Michelle, I don't know if I'm going to die. And I said, you will not die. We will get you help. And prayerfully that is so. I hate telling children things I don't know. But my staff is not going home. They're not. They're on their phones 24 hours a day FaceTiming these kids. They're checking on them. They're answering their calls 24 hours a day because we cannot let this happen quietly. Most people that know me know I'm a pretty squeaky wheel. And I'm going to keep yelling about child abuse until we stop this insanity. We moved Levi to a family a week ago. We don't know if this family will keep him. Not many people standing in line for a biracial 16-year-old boy that's got anger issues. But I'd be pretty pissed off too, excuse me, if I never had a mother and a father that ever loved me. He went from eating his own feces and drinking his own urine to survive in Titus County to being a 16-year-old handsome young man that just wants a family. So add that to the concerns of COVID. 224 people in Titus County, or Titus Camp in Morris County, that have COVID. What about the 224 pair of little shoes that are out there? What about those shoes? I know you'll have a lot on your plate, but I'm asking for you to please pray for these kids. We will lose many more. CPS is working from home because they don't have any intakes. No one's calling because no one can see the bumps and bruises. Until school lets in, or until we can get our eyes on these kids, we will lose many, many more. And they're not dying of COVID, y'all. I thank you so much for your time. It's not a great job, but it's a needed job. And our goal every day is to work ourselves out of a job to where we never have to stand up here and say it. 85 of those kids were in Titus County, 62 were in Camp County, and 72 were Morris County. That's 224 total. 1989 to 2019, we had 13 CASA programs. We have 72 now. We served 13 counties. Back in 1989, we served 219 counties now in Texas. We had 4,000 children back then. CASA now works with 30,432 children last year. 30,000 kids. We have 10,000 volunteers and 52,397 children in foster care. That's too much. It's too much. And if this continues, the deaths will continue to rise. We can't put kids in foster care right now. Nobody's open. Nobody's open. So they stay right where they are, suffer, until someone can find them, hear them, somebody reports them. If you are out and about in this community and you see somebody jerk their child up by their hair or their arm, or your child looks a little too dirty, or they're really hungry, or they're black and blue, don't just take the word that they fell down the steps, or it could be something else. Do something. Do something. It's no longer somebody else's problem. It's our problem. It's our problem. I don't have any biological children, but God's given me hundreds. In 9 years, I've been doing this for 9 years. We're going to keep doing it until we don't have to do it no more. I thank y'all for your time. I ask for your prayers, not for me, for these kids. For these kids. John Mark said he has never met such a delightful young man. It was yes, sir, and no, sir. And, sir, can I have those? Would it be okay if I have those fries with cheese on it? Food boxes, thousands of them going out. But they don't even know if it's okay to get something out the fridge because they're not even in their own home. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you. We need you. And we need everybody to continue talking about this because it's not going away. Thank you, Judge.
Thanks, Michelle.
Item number 4 is our time for road status reports from our commissioners. Commissioner Parker.
We've been down on County Road 4875 cleaning ditches, and we had several places down there that needed to be cleaned. Today we're picking up trees and limbs and everything from the storms Friday night, and hopefully we'll get that all taken care of today, but I still don't know for sure. It may take today and tomorrow to finish it up. And we're trying to get started on a road over there that we're going to redo, but with it as wet and all as it is, well, there's not a whole lot we have been able to do with it. I just want to thank the sheriff for picking up some roads that we had and that had some trash and stuff on them, and appreciate their help as always.
Well, we started side cutting on 1920, 1915, and 3920. We've put fly ash and wrap millings on County Road 3350, 3070, 3325, 3345, and we've got a lot more to do. And we had trees down Friday night. We was on 1820 down, 1825, 1828, 1835, 3210. We was out all night almost Friday to Saturday morning, and we went back out Saturday to get some more. It's going to take us about a week to clean all these trees up. And we've had the sheriff, he helped us patching 1905 and 1925. And I want to tell him how I appreciate you doing that for us. We definitely need to catch up. That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Fitch.
We've been side cutting on 2640, 2650, and 2300. Today we started side cutting on 2670. We did cleaning ditches and fixing some base failures on 2910 and 2912 and 4520. We did a base failure on that. And I want to thank Tim for sending his guys out. They picked up the trash on 2300 one day, got about 14 bags of trash. I'd like to thank Five Star Fire Department Friday night for getting out and helping all over the county. They were doing a lot of limb removal. And we've also been patching, of course, all around the county after these rains.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank one more, the Talco Fire Department. I'd like to thank them and Argo Fire Department for helping us out Friday night.
Yeah, wow, good.
Picking up trees
Will you pull your mic in?
Picking up trees and for the last weekend or this weekend, and patching and rehabbing roads ready for seal coating, and replaced a bunch of culverts, and just a battle every day to fix a patch road. And I'm waiting one day the sheriff is going to help me fix patch road. I know it's going to happen because he said it was.
Talk to you next week. Your phone must have been down now. We'll have 3 ready to go. But you didn't answer, so give us another way.
All right. Item number 5, I'm coming back to you again. I promise this will be the last time. Would like to get another 55-gallon drum of hand sanitizer that we are handing out at the fire departments. The fire chief has provided manpower and some governance and oversight at both the north and the south fire station. We've gotten 2 55-gallon drums donated, one from a local businessman, one from Pilgrim, which has kind of doubled our capability. We've got plenty, I believe, to last indefinitely. I know that as businesses open up, hopefully this weekend, there will be many of these that are going to implement hand sanitizer into their regular routines, and so I believe we're going to need everything that we have got. This was bought at cost, again, from Rearview Industrial Supply, and the same person that arranged that purchase donated an entire drum also from there. We hope to be able to get reimbursed for these. So far, we are out the cost of these 2 drums, as well as those masks that were those facial shields that we got from Sweet Shop USA. So we're into this COVID to the tune of about $2,700 if you will approve this purchase, $1,030 for 55-gallon drum of hand sanitizer. And I believe that this will be the last one we have to do. I think it will be up to any businesses to provide for themselves after this. The majority of this has gone to individual use. We've had a few businesses ask for some.
I'll make a motion, we approve the purchase.
Motion's made for approval on this purchase by Commissioner Parker.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fitch. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We've got a couple of, I think, kind of related items here. I'd like to jump down to item 7 to help me make a decision on what I anticipate coming on item number 6. If item number 6 is going to involve some new budget money or taking money out of contingency, I'd like to find out what our options are related to this number 7. So I will jump to item number 7, discuss approving the commissioners to be able to get a loan from rollover money from last year's budget with possible action to follow. So Barbara, could I get you to address this and tell us exactly what this means? I haven't been part of these discussions, but I would like to better understand what limitations are in effect and what we might enable the commissioners to do if they could borrow some money from these funds.
Good morning. I've had requests from Commissioner Fitch to spend money that's in fund balance in his road and bridge fund. The money that's in fund balance is leftover funds. It's funds that were allocated for Precinct 2 that have not been spent through the years. It's not just last year, it's not the previous year, it's many, many years' worth. And he's not alone in having those funds. So I want to tell you what the balances are.
Just 1 year. I thought it was just last year.
No. This is the summary, the total historical summary, not just last year. Yeah.
I didn't know I had any when I came into office that was in any fund anywhere.
Yes, you did.
That was just last year.
You did. So the numbers I'm reading to you are from your audit report from September 30th, and it's your fund balance for road and bridge. Number 1, $177,642. Road and bridge number 2, $118,327. Road and bridge number 3, $252,828. And road and bridge number 4, $286,422. So again, those are leftover monies historically. It's not last year's money. It's money all accumulated through the years that you have in fund balance that has not been spent. It's not anything that y'all did or did not do. Likely you inherited some of these funds. They've been there for quite some time. So Commissioner Fitch came to me and he needs to spend some additional funds. And he's been asking me, what could we do? There are options when you do the budget. When you do the budget, you cannot put anything in there to consider rollover, which is what Titus County has done historically. They've not historically put any money in there from the rollover. But one of the options that you can do, you can estimate what that number might be and go ahead and put it in the budget. We did not do that last year. I believe we didn't do it because we were going away from the shared equipment and from the unit road system, and we're moving to back like we had been for years and years. So the numbers I've read to you are the funds that are available to you. And so it's up to you to decide what you need to do. Now, having said that, there's not a requirement that you have a specific fund balance in those funds. However, it's good management if you keep about 25% for future savings. But again, it's not a requirement. That's for you to decide what works best within your precinct. So when you look at those options, that's 25% of your current year operations. Your current year budget without capital outlay is about $700,000. 25% of that is $175,000. That would be a decision for you to make. Do you want to keep that whole $175,000 within your fund balance, or do you want to be spending some of that? I would suggest that you make a plan to save some of that as an allowance for an emergency. You never know when you're going to have a whole lot of extra trees picked up, like most of us had to do this past weekend. You have to have overtime, those kinds of things. But you certainly can make a decision for what is the best need for your precinct at this time.
Well, I can't believe this. I can't believe what I'm hearing. The year before we went to the unit system, Mr. Field in Precinct 2 spent $190-something thousand. We finally put $175,000 short. So then on the next budget, we took it out of his budget, but they added some more money to our budget. But it took it out. All of a sudden, now we have, let me back up. When I first got to be a commissioner 7.5 years ago, this carryover money in each precinct was, I asked why. I was told by the director then, the auditor, Carl Johnson, that the commissioner made big purchases and they were allowed to carry that over. And I said, I took a position that the money budgeted, let me read it to you, the carryover. Money budgeted in one fiscal year cannot be spent in another fiscal year. Once the fiscal year is ended, any money that was budgeted and not spent is returned to the fund from which it came. Only money that has been budgeted may be spent, and then only in strict compliance with the budget. And it says here a little note, playing with taxpayer money. Money not returned to the proper fund is done so at the expense of the taxpayer or other departments, which generally result in a tax increase by the county to compensate for the carryover account. He was short $175,000, I guess, in 2017, and then in December or November, the people voted for the unit system. Now, how did he get money from history? Because then he went to the unit system, and now, last year, for 2020, they took all that money, and they created a fund. You still got it, I guess, Fund 19, I see it on here, created a fund for the shared equipment and stuff, and now we bought all this equipment. They had about $100 million left, or around $1 million left in the unit system, and so we spent all of that money for shared equipment. We bought a lot of new equipment. I'm talking about shared equipment and other equipment, well, shared equipment basically. And now, when we bought the water truck, or the oil truck, the last truck that spreads oil for seal coating, said we didn't have enough money to pay for it. Now, how did we get reserves? It's amazing how we could get reserves after that. And I just don't understand how it happened and why, I can't believe it. I can't believe that we got that money. I noticed that in your tape, 59,000 or 60 million still left in that Fund 19. And that's the reason on the next item above there, the reason that they want to, you created this entity in this shop. When we started the unit system, all the commissioners wanted to get rid of the unit system and campaigned to get rid of it, but yet they want to run the shop the same way. We've got more paperwork in the shop than we do work on it, but I've been through that before, and apparently we just created a department that relieves the commissioners of maintaining their equipment, I guess, because we'll let that department. They got their own budget. Of course, we got hourly. We have to run for election. We have to spend big money campaigning and all this kind of stuff to be the commissioner. Now we're going to create a department. On that other item, you'll see that on the next item that we skipped. Now we're going to have and they want to run it. When you shifted it back, it's amazing that I get bills. We send a bill, the water truck to Peggyhurst, which we need to, I don't know, but they make the decision whether they want to work on it or send it off. The commissioners are not involved. So we're going to vacate that responsibility, the commissioner, by voting it back, like you got on the budget here, so that we won't be responsible. Let remain the start. They got their own budget. We got hourly paid people, the highest paid people in the county hourly, running the shop, and they're making the decision whether they want to work on a piece of equipment or they want to send it out. I've got a piece of shredder up there. They said they might fix it. The shop man told I don't have the effing time. I'll fix it when Riddle starts paying his bills. I don't know what he means by paying my bills. When you went back to the other system, how did I quit paying my bills? I don't understand it. I want to know. I don't like getting a field $5,000 for a truck I don't know anything about. That somebody makes a decision. So I just don't understand it. Where did we get the money? You talk about fake news. Something's wrong in our bookkeeping somewhere, in our budgeting somewhere. Not when you were here. I was told when they took it out of the carryover for the commissioners, it goes to contingency fund. In the budget this year, there's $300,000 for contingency. What's it contingent on? I was told then when we created that fund is what it was for. That was 7 years ago, 6, before you ever got here. I don't understand it. This is really tough bookkeeping. But I'm just a commissioner.
Mr. Riddle, I'll try to answer your questions as best I can. I want to tell you that these are audited numbers, and some of the things that you said are commingled between Fund 19, each precinct fund, and general fund. There's a difference in how those things are managed, so that may be why it seems that they're hard to follow. It's because they are standalone. So it's important that when we talk about those, we talk about the topic that we're discussing today or at this moment, and then we'll get to Fund 19 in a moment. Because when you talk about them all together, they're managed differently. And that's why it's hard to understand. But if you want to come by my office, I've got a mountain of these audits from previous years, and you're welcome to make copies of these pages, and then you can use them as you'd like to, or I'll go over them with you. So my responsibility is to answer the question, how much money is there? So I believe I've answered that question. In Road and Bridge number 1, $177,000, number 2, $118,000, number 3, $252,000, number 4, $286,000. Now, I believe that Road and Bridge number 2 is significantly less. That's the least, because of some of those prior year problems that you mentioned when they went over budget and things like that. But historically, that's not information I have except from this audit report, which follows generally accepted accounting principles and is presented to y'all each year. It's done by an outside firm, independent. So I think these numbers are good and we should rely on those. So the question is not just for Commissioner Fitch, but for all of y'all to decide, do you want to access those funds only within your precinct? It's not going to apply to anything else. This is just within your precinct, or do you not? Or if you want to access those, how much of that would you like to allow access to those? Or do you want to set a minimum where you say we're not going to go below some number, 40, 50, 80, whatever number y'all decide in case of emergency? So I'm bringing you that information.
In other words, there's no need right now for us to worry about our budget because we got money, we can do it.
No, sir, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, I find it hard to believe how those numbers got juggled around and how things changed, and that was before you got here. But I want my $177,000 out of there now in my precinct. I'm going to spend it this year. I need a new backhoe. I'm going to get it. And there's no need for us worrying about our budget anymore. Now you want to take the maintenance budgeting or responsibility away from us, and now we don't have to even worry about material. I can buy another $177,000 worth of material. How's that? Is that any way to run a business or well, it's taxpayers' money.
Mr. Riddle, you can't do that without a budget amendment. I'm just telling you that the money is there. If you as Commissioners Court decide to do that, then you can. It's legal to do that. But I'm not telling you what to do. That's y'all's responsibility to make that decision. Another consideration would be the equipment, the loans that the county has already made to the precincts that you're paying back. Perhaps, and again, it's your own decision, perhaps you would like to decide that before you access this fund balance, you pay off those loans. But again, it's not a decision for me to make for you. It's for you as a group to decide what you want to do.
Well, that makes a lot more sense than telling us we don't need to manage our budget. If we want to spend money like crazy, we can always get some more. That's what happened here to Fitch. So the rest of it, I don't know why y'all are worried about material. You can buy more. But I agree with you. That should be done first. We should pay those debts off where we put those trucks and all that equipment on three. And that's absolutely what we should do instead of spreading it out and letting one commissioner blow money like crazy and other people. I thought our job when we got elected that we do it as efficiently as we can and spend our money, not just blow it and go to schools and training and all of this kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden we need to borrow some money. I don't believe for 1 minute that $175 come out, because when they went to the unit system, they dropped it. That I'm talking about that Fields went over his budget. I went over $14,000. What'd they do? They took $14,000 out of my budget for the next year. And Hinton did too. I mean, it's just been a common practice. Somebody would go over, making a misjudgment, but we took it out of the next year's budget. They put it in the budget, and I don't know how it could have been there. I'm not an auditor. That book you're talking about that those guys have, it's pretty. I have a hard time reading it. I'm not a CPA, but I just can't believe that we got carryover money. I just can't imagine where it came from.
The majority of my money in my $118,000 is what I did not spend last year. I didn't go broke last year in my budget, and I had money left over. You did too.
You had a budget.
You didn't spend it all. Now you're accusing folks of blowing money. I had to buy 3 pieces of equipment, and I paid 25% down out of my budget so I could divide those payments to 3 other payments each year. So when I leave office, I owe 0. If I don't get elected next time, I'm not leaving the next commissioner with money owed on that equipment. So I budgeted that. So I spent that on that equipment. Now, I've been going great guns all this year, working, buying material, fixing things, lots of repairs. So I planned in the fall to keep on trucking while the weather was good, and I'm getting roads ready for seal coat for this summer. And I need to make sure this is more of a comfort cushion for me if I can bring some of this money over in case I do have a major repair, in case I do need a little bit more road material. I need to buy some more gravel up as we speak, but I have plenty in right now to probably do 10 miles maybe of seal coating in the fund for this year. And the way I feel like this is the taxpayers' money, if I don't spend my money on these roads, every year that I get from the taxpayers, they're going to look at me next year and like, why should I cut my taxes 75%? You only spent 75% of the money that we allotted you on the roads. I feel guilty if I don't get enough work done that I get more roads done. So having this money in my budget, if I spend every penny of it, the way I look at it on a major disaster that we'll be able to file on FEMA on some major storm, tornado, ice storm or something. And then if we're going to have something it's uncalled for like this COVID virus that comes in, and if it costs the county tons of money for whatever reason, that's why we have $6 million in our budget extra right now. We have twice the amount that's recommended in the county budget saved up all these years. So that's where I stand on my budget.
I don't have anything to do with that contingency that we might need that $6 million in general fund.
Yes, but it could be used for whatever we choose to, and I think we're very blessed that the county has that right now. And I'm not planning on spending it. I'm just saying it's there. So I want to move this money into my budget, and I'll get with Barbara and put some. I want to divide some into repairs and into road materials, and I might put some into contingency, but divide it into my budget where I know how much money is in Precinct 2's budget for the roads. And then starting next year, when we have monies left over, this will be handled a little bit different. This money will go into contingency for 2021 out of this 2020 budget like it used to, and we'll know after we get that audit we have 80,000 or something left over. That's going to be in our contingency line in our budgets in the future. It's some kind of mix-up this year that's in some kind of other fund, but that's what's going on, fellas. And I I brought it up because I know some of you, that's like me, we've been going and going and going. It's like, man, we're going to run out of money if we keep on. Or I may need a new backhoe or something. And how are we going to do this? So there's where the money is. That's just what I'm telling you.
As I recall last year, we kind of ran out of time due to weather or something.
Had a lot
like
of weather
that.
issues
And
last year.
we didn't spend the money that we anticipated we would spend by the end of the fiscal year, and so that money comes.
It's just going to be that way every year. It's going to be impossible to spend it down to zero.
I don't know what the difficulty in the concept is. There's going to be some years that you don't spend all that money, and we may be blessed with good weather this year and able to spend.
That's right. And there's a lot of things we'll wait till September to really pour on the coals before we start a new budget.
So, Barbara, you're saying that would this be an appropriate way to do it, is to borrow from that excess as opposed to just moving it into the current year's available funds?
At the end of the day, it's about the same.
It's about the
It'd
same.
be
One of the
pay me now, pay me later. So if we get a loan,
She's simply saying
it's harder for her to move it, though.
She's simply saying it's a good idea to leave a little bit in your bank account at the end of the year rather than spending it down to zero. And some years we're going to get closer to zero. And last year we were a good ways from it.
Even moving this money, there's no way I'll spend the whole budget.
How much are you thinking about in your particular case?
I was wanting
borrowing?
100,000 of it.
Okay. All right.
You know, I don't understand why you say that, Judge, that some years we don't spend it, we could spend $3 million a year in my precinct doing it. We need to operate. A commissioner doesn't need bad weather. Don't keep us from spending our money. That's not true.
Okay.
That's not.
But we are limited on our budget money. If I had $3 million, I could spend it too. But I'm saying I got 700,000 starting this year, so we're going to spend what we got.
And every year, all the commissioners. And I know that Jimmy don't. He's always got some because he's got some good roads. But I know 3 did. He had the same problem. And 2 always spent over.
If you got some of this money here, then you could pay off some of those notes you have. So when you leave office, whoever takes your place won't be owing any money. It'd be nice.
That's right, and I think we all ought to do that.
To the matter
take
at
all.
hand.
If we got
That's
money.
what I do. That's how I operate.
Yeah, I know. No, you're going to operate. Well, you won't put this money in your operating budget. We all had an operating budget, and we hadn't spent ours. Road and Bridge. What do you mean, Road and Bridge?
I'm a road department.
Yeah, you're a road department. We all had the same amount of money put in our budget, and you spent yours, and now you want some more to get some more money.
No, I'm just spending what I didn't spend last year. This is the leftover.
You didn't manage your money like Parker did.
Oh, you're not telling me. I've done plenty of work in my precinct, and my voters will attend to it.
All right,
Yeah,
so here
if they
we
believe
have.
anything you say, they would.
We're going to discuss the matter at hand here, allowing a commissioner to get a loan from rollover money. You're asking, as part of this agenda item, do you want us to approve you making a loan from your...
Yes, I want a loan for $100,000. We'll pay it back in the budget process. I'll budget that to pay that $100,000 for next year out of this.
Okay, hang on, April, just one second. Okay, so you would like to, and you would propose paying that back how?
Pay it back next year.
Pay it all back next year. Okay.
I'm going to take it out of this.
Out of next fiscal
This
year.
fund, this 118,327 is in a fund. We can't just draw it out legally. So it was put that way. I don't know how.
That's right.
But we usually never operate that way.
We could with a budget.
We always put it in contingency for the next year. We guesstimate. We have and that's pretty accurate right there. Carl said, 115,000.
You could move it if you wanted to have a budget amendment. You could move it, but she's giving you an explanation.
Right now.
What I need to keep our books and records accurate for our audit is I need Commissioner's Court to approve the use of these funds in this year.
Okay.
And that will be in effect a budget amendment out of the fund balance.
So we won't have to get a loan.
As far as the loan goes, it's a loan. It's just like you having money in your pocket and loaning yourself. You got rent money in your right pocket, you're going to take it out and go ahead and spend it now. Because you got it.
Okay.
Barnett
I've got
from
a
that
question
account,
from the
let's just
audience,
get
and
that.
I'd like to let April ask her question.
My question is, okay, if it's money left over from the previous year, okay, so it wasn't spent, so why are you having to take out a loan against that money? If it's money that wasn't spent from the previous year, can't you just use that to pay it off?
Essentially, yes, but the way that we're required to account for our money doesn't make it quite that simple.
Right, I understand you're doing an amendment to the fund or to the budget. So are you going to continue to have that rollover, and then it's like I don't want to use the term slush fund, but is it always money that's going to be in reserve that you borrow against, and then?
It's usually not.
Reasonable question.
Yes.
Why are they having to?
It's just we have to do it this way to move the money.
Right, I mean, what I'm saying is.
Jesus
it's already the taxpayers' money, why are we borrowing against it, and I'm sure there's an interest rate.
No, there's not. There's no interest rate. It's all internal money. It's a bookkeeping entry, I guess, is the best way that I can explain it. And I don't want to oversimplify it, but we could do it one of two ways. We could do a budget amendment to move those funds, or we could do, he's essentially borrowing, like he said, but he's going to pay it back in the next year. So it's just a matter of, is the money spent this year or is the money spent next year? He's using that money that he didn't spend last year. I know it's confusing, and I'm trying to find the words to explain it.
You say you're taking a loan against it, that's what I'm thinking is.
There is no interest, or we're not borrowing it from any external entity. We're borrowing from the fund balance, or our big savings account. Yeah, no interest rate, no outside bank. Denise? Okay.
If we have some funds that are there for emergencies and such, next year, you're going to have a more lean budget.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to stay within what our needs are right now, not our wants, not our,
Mm-hmm. This money may not be spent. I just want access to it. And so we have to vote to get access to it. Because when we get to the end of the summer, it's going to get real slim. There's going to be a lot of budget amendments trying to use the monies and make sure we have enough paying those road oil bills and such. So it's a extra cushion for me to do that. And of course, when we go into the budget season this summer, we're going to know what we're going to do next year. If we're going to cut or what we're going to be operating on. It's just the way I look at it. It will really help me in case we really get a lot done. I'll have the money for it. And then there's no way I'm going to spend all the money that I have. This money included plus this year's budget, there's going to be money left over next year. We'll be doing this same thing over again. So we're not going in the negative. We're not going in the hole. We're not going to be down to zero even.
Where do you get that we spend all the money we have every year?
Did we answer your
question? I spent everything except about $118,327 last year.
Well, that's right.
I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to come out of different employee benefits and all kinds of stuff that's budgeted. You're not going to spend it all.
If these other commissioners want you to have that money, you get it.
That's right. We're going to put it to a vote, and we'll just see what happens.
I think that's great.
You want to make a motion?
I think I want my $177,000. He ought to get his
$200,000. It's your money to get.
Let's get it all in there, and then we don't have to.
That's right. That's taxpayer money.
But I think that's great. Just give it to him. How do you want to vote on it?
Make a motion that take that money and loan.
Define that money.
What account is it?
Do you want to set the entire amount as a loan, or do you want to carve out $100,000?
We might.
Excuse me, Al. You're not speaking right now.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you what. I'll take the $118,327. I'll be done with this matter for this year.
He's going to borrow the whole amount.
Borrow the whole amount, which will be paid back
in
next
fiscal
year's
year
budget.
2021.
Yes.
20/21. Okay. All right. That's his request.
And I request that I get the $177,000.
For all of us, for all the commissioners?
For all the commissioners.
Okay,
go ahead and word it that way.
For all the commissioners.
Okay, so your motion is to allow the commissioners to have the right to borrow up to the amount of their fund balance for operations to be paid back in fiscal year 2021.
That's correct.
But you won't necessarily take all that money.
They don't have to.
That's right. Okay.
Up to, but not the whole thing if we don't want it.
You could set the amount you want.
Whole amount right now.
Set the amount
it may come down to that point. I've got a 3-mile stretch of road that I'm fixing to start on that it's probably going to cost me $250,000 to get it back in shape that it needs to be in. And that 286 that I've got right there, I don't think I'm going to use near all of it, and I've still got my other budget, but that 286 will be there if I need it. And that's what I'm wanting to see, is that money is there for me to use if this road requires me to use that much money on it.
Exactly right. Thank
So
you.
that's
the
what
motion. That's his motion, to allow him and you to borrow any portion of what that carryover balance is that she's given you the totals for each precinct. So either we're going to second that or we're not going to second.
Let me ask another
Okay.
question.
Second, now for discussion. Yes, sir.
Is that going to be rid of that carryover fund? I want to know what a carryover fund
So
is.
we're going to let you go and visit with Barbara here this week to
well,
get a
there-
better explanation on
Well,
that.
surely, no, there's one, yes or no answer, okay? Will we still have a carryover if we get all that money transferred into us?
Depends on what you spend. I don't know what you're going to spend.
Oh, so we're going to have a slush fund left. I got you. I got it.
You spend it all. You spend it all down to zero, and there won't be a slush fund. Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Yeah. Sure.
With regard to paying it back next year, do you really intend to pay it back next year? I don't think that you do. I think this is something you're going to spend now, and then next year's budget would stand alone. And if you don't spend it, it would be available for next year's budget.
I myself think, and this is what I have done in the past, is amended my budget. I've had that money left over. I've amended my budget when I've come to the point that I needed that. I've amended my budget to do that, is the way I've got that in the past. It's not a slush fund. It's not hidden money or anything else. It was what I carried over from last year that maybe it was just like I didn't get to do all the seal coating I wanted to do last year. So I had money left over from that. That's where the money is at and it's coming from, is from that one deal. And I won't, just need access to it in case I need, because my and I hadn't got it in front of me. I meant to write it down this morning, but I didn't. My road oil, other road materials that I do a lot of scabbing and whatnot with, that's getting slim right now. And I've got about 3 different categories that I need to move some of that $286,000 into those categories. And that's your deal as to how it needs to go, if it needs we need to amend each category or whatever we need to do. But I do need access to some of that money for some more road materials and whatnot. And it's like I said, it's not a sludge fund. It's not anything but what come out of our budget last year that we didn't spend, or the year before, however long we've been. I have carried a little bit over every year since I've been in office. First year it was 130 or 40,000, I think it was. The second year it was somewhere in that amount. I have not, since I've been in office, I've not spent every dime that was in my budget, and I don't intend to. I want to keep my roads up where they need to be, but I don't intend to spend every dime that I've got in my budget.
And I think that goes for every other commissioner.
So next year, we'll be doing this out of a contingency? After we get audited, what's left over, will that be put in contingency next year? We're going to have an educated guess of how much it's going to be maybe for budget season?
That would be a decision for y'all to make as commissioners, whether or not you want to put that in there. So that
What are we going to call it? We're going to call it rollover money or unspent money? What are we going to call it?
That's what it is.
Just rollover money, unspent money. We'll go somewhere else. So, I may not even spend all this. I'm planning on having money left over. It'll go over into rollover for next year.
Go over to the
Unspent funds.
Don't use that word rollover.
Yeah, but it's my best duty to fix as much roads as I can, so.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Some years you're going to be able to do more work than others.
That's right.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Got another question.
All right.
Are we still saying that we're borrowing this money? Or are we just going to amend the budget and move it?
I think we amend the budget and move it.
Okay, that needs to be changed then.
And do you want to do this every year? You want to do it? Okay.
I'd like to put an amount in there when we do budget this year, an estimated amount, a revenue source, which is an estimated unspent.
Yeah.
And then we'll put that money in contingency, and when we get the audit report in, we will adjust it to the actual number.
And you can help make recommendations each year as this would be a good cushion amount for you to keep in your account so that we don't get overly aggressive, and we sure don't want to spend it down to zero. We want to have that cushion in there. That's good practice. And that's typically the way it's looked, but
The way it's been in the past, or since I've been in office, is some of that money was laid back in case. It's just like Al said, he had to have a backhoe. That money was laid back. I mean, some of that was, you could fall back on that if you needed it. That was in that fund, and that's why I'm still leaving some in there. I'm gonna have to have another backhoe at some point in time, but I want some money in there to where I can either pay for it or at least put quite a bit down on it. So that's.
Okay.
Let me say to Barbara, this Precinct 4 has always had a nice cushion, so then the carryover, as we talked about, that's what they called it. I don't know whether they called it carryover, but it was what was left in the budget at the end of the year on September 30th. And that's what they had in their money to do it. So instead of carrying it in the thing, like when I took office, I had $128,000 more than the budget from the previous time. We got a bunch of money from the pipeline, and I spent it. I bought a motor grader. But the point is that money, and they changed it from leaving it in your budget instead of one commissioner having $800,000 or $600. They decided, or Carl decided, to put it in a contingency fund, just like Jimmy's requesting that his $200,000 go into, and mine. And that's where I thought it was. And I really thought that $300,000 in our 2020 budget was part of that contingency, that amount to carry over from the precinct. And now all of a sudden we got other money. I mean,
The $300,000 contingency fund is in the general fund, Fund 10. It's separate from what we're talking about today.
It's separate from the general fund, right? Yeah. Yes. Right. And that's the way I understood it was done.
That's not the same money as what we're talking about today.
I understand. But see, I'm really concerned that we went to the unit system and took away all that money from each precinct. And then in 2020, when the people went back voted to go back, how did we end up with carryover? Because we only had a real small budget for the commissioners, and then all of a sudden we got carryover. Where did it come from? It came from that unit fund. Yeah, well, I thought we put it all in there and we bought that extra equipment. How did you decide how much went to each fund?
When I look at the audit report, what's in there is an equal amount went to each precinct.
Oh, each fund. And then, the reason it's less now is because, I don't know why it's less now, why each precinct's less than the other one. I don't understand that. Why would they, if we put the same amount out of the Fund 19 or whatever you call that unit fund?
That's a historical question that I'm not able to answer with this audit report, but we can look at all those.
Okay.
Okay,
Sorry
got
to
a
take up
motion
so
and a
much
second.
time.
But do we need to change that, Judge? Because he said that borrow it.
Good point. So what I'm hearing you say is rather than using the word we're going to make a loan, we're going to simply transfer this, whatever y'all want to call it, rollover, slush, fund balance, contingency. What's the best word to use for the record, Barbara? Fund balance. A fund balance unique to each precinct, not the overriding county fund balance that we sometimes use. Let's not get that name mixed up. And transfer that to your available funds for the current fiscal year. Okay,
I make a motion that we transfer that fund balance money into our budgets in each precinct
for the current fiscal year.
Current fiscal year of 2020.
All right.
Whatever we see fit to move. Right.
Whatever you choose right now.
Yes. We're not sweeping it all.
You might as well sweep it all and be done with it, because next year it's going to be called contingency. We're going to do it. We'll get that. We'll figure that next year in next year's budget. Really, really close. There won't be a whole lot to have to move.
Is that we move it all now, and then you only spend what you need to.
That's right. I mean, that's what
we
we
don't
plan
have to
on.
come back to court and have another discussion like this.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, for little amounts. Yeah.
That's a good way to say it. Yep. We don't want you having to come, well, I thought I didn't need it, but it looks like I'm going to need it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Make a motion again.
Read what you've got there.
Full
Joyce.
amount.
Okay, transfer the money from each precinct balance.
Fund balance, call it fund balance.
To each precinct.
Current year operating budget for the fiscal year. Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, I said aye.
You're aye. Okay. We got a unanimous. Thank you. Let's go back now to item number 6. Discuss the Fund 19 budget with possible, I'm almost scared to ask. Discuss the Fund 19 budget with possible action to follow. Okay, and I didn't ask to put this on the agenda.
Okay.
Was this
So
yours?
I asked to put it back on there because I didn't understand how this went down last week, and I just went with the flow of the last meeting. So the Fund 19 balance has money in there for county-owned equipment, which what we call our shared equipment, and we only budgeted about $15,000 in there. We should have budgeted probably $40,000 in there to keep those upgrades and keeping all that equipment going. So now, since we voted last meeting, we're going to take all those bills from every time something breaks and buying teeth and such this summer. We're going to divide it by 4 between all of us. Way I look at it, what we should have just asked for to finish out the year in that Fund 19, we could probably get by with about $15,000. I'm going to be on the safe side asking for $20,000 and take it out of that general county budget contingency, which has about $300,000 in it. And that's where when we budgeted last year, that's where that money came from. We had 15 in it, we already spent. In fact, we might have went over a little bit. And it's just for maintaining that equipment. None of us own it. The county owns it. So the county bought it. We can budget it to have the county fix things on it as we need to. The good thing about it, half of that equipment's brand new, some of it's still under warranty. But there is going to be some maintenance, wear and tear on that equipment. So I know you were upset with us having to divide all those bills too.
I disagree with that. I don't like it at all when I see the water truck spinning McGee Hurst and we owe a $5,000 bill on it.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing about maybe it needed it, but the mechanic, I don't want those high-paid mechanics sitting in that office deciding. We are deciding. That's our responsibility, and it ought to be discussed with us. And so if you go back to that 519, you create another entity. Why not? That's part of an
entity is the shared equipment anyway. And that water truck, we sent it to that mechanic at Texarkana, didn't we? Is that where y'all had to pick it up? We got a partial warranty on some of that repairs. They forgave us on some of the bill on that.
I just used that for an example.
Yeah, okay.
What about the truck that was wrecked?
We do fix a lot of it ourselves. That's not the question here. I'm just saying, do you want to put some money in that fund where paperwork with Barbara, paperwork with our mechanics, with us, they repair it as it's torn up? I mean, we're all going to tear it up. We all still got to pay a quarter of it anyway.
That's right, and that's the way it still should be that way. but you want to put it into the maintenance department. That means if
No.
Precinct 3 can tear it up. Where are you going to put this money? Where are you going to put this Fund 9, what, $52,000 in Fund 19? Where are we going to put it?
I don't think that's the actual amount. I think we spent what was in it originally, Barbara.
The maintenance shop. You're going to put it in the maintenance budget?
No, it's nothing to do with maintenance. It's just the money that's going to fix repairs on that equipment.
Well, I don't nearly like.
And I mean, most of it's parts. Most of it's grinding teeth.
Because we've given up all of our stuff, and that's the reason they're telling my driver, "I'll fix nothing until I pay for it." I don't have any idea how that come about.
I don't know. I'm just talking about that shared equipment.
Well, no, it's just
we had to get a water pump on one of the rolling machines or something a while back. Just some parts break on them. The Fund 19 takes care of that county equipment that none of us own.
I'm not forgiving that Fund 19 to other people. I'm not forgiving relieving the commissioners of.
Well, we always approve every bill that comes out of it.
What are you talking about? I don't. That's you.
You sign them in there on that table, and they usually go through Dana, and Dana usually calls up. Is there something major on one of the pull trucks or something? He'll call us. So we need this tarp, or we need to take it over to Warren truck or whatever. We always usually approve. Are we going to do that or get something else?
I realize that, but we've run it like that for years. Your dad was saying, and all of a sudden we're going to turn all of the responsibility over to the maintenance people. We're going to turn it over to a couple of mechanics. They don't have to get elected. They don't have to run for office.
We've had this conversation so long, we're all tired of it.
Yeah, I feel like we're pretty well responsible on how that 19 gets spent on that. I want to move. I want to move $20,000 out of general contingency in our budget into Fund 19 for the upkeep of that shared equipment.
Okay. Well, my question is, and I'm just going to be devil's advocate. Why are we having to put more money into our budget? We under budgeted.
We under budgeted, and I didn't catch it. We just had 15,000 in there. I didn't catch it. Didn't think we'd need it, and we're just guesstimating. We're probably going to need money in there.
Well, $20,000 is $5,000 per precinct.
Mm-hmm.
We've just approved you being able to use this contingency money. Can we not find $5,000 in our budget to find this?
We could do that.
Without taking money out of contingency. And essentially, we're creating. This is new money in the budget, basically.
We could take $5,000 a piece from each one of us, put it in that 19 fund, and then we don't have to look at every bill and divide it by 4. We can take it out of that each.
I would rather see you do that rather than. Essentially, anytime we go into contingency,
it'll be easier on paperwork and bills.
We didn't budget adequately. We need to go get some more money, and that goes against my grain here.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there's.
And I'm not concerned on who tears what up, who was born, or I won't go pick something up that needs a new broom on. I don't care. It has to be fixed anyway. We fix it.
So you're saying rather just fund it?
So that'd be fine too.
Just put money in the checking account, and then instead of having to take each bill and divide it by 4. We just pay that amount. Just making it, just simplifying things.
Why we've increased.
Okay, Barbara, go ahead.
Well, there's more than one way to look at this. What you suggested is an easy thing to do. Now that you're going to have additional money that you can access, you can use those funds to pay for the care, maintenance, and upkeep of that shared equipment. And we can put a line item within your budget that says shared equipment maintenance. It'll be easy for us to track in the future. That's what I want to make sure we know what that number is. I don't want it mixed in with your regular repairs, because then we won't know what your regular repairs were or your shared equipment was. So there's your first option. Within your own budget, a line item that says shared equipment repairs. Okay, there's one. The next option that you have, you can take $5,000 from the funds that you just approved. We can move it into Fund 19 as we just discussed. And that will shore that fund up, because last year we spent $39,000. We budgeted 15, so we're about $24,000 short if everything stays the same.
found the number, $48,370. So we can take those funds, just as we just did the remaining ones that y'all had historically. That fund has $48,000. We can move $20,000 of that to the repair number, and then you'd have money to do that. But Mr. Ritter, none of the things we're talking about addresses your question as far as the approval process. That's something y'all are going to have to decide how you want to do that. It's not any, I mean, I just need a budget amendment so that y'all can get the equipment repaired. So either one of those three options will work for me.
I don't agree that John wants to turn over the buying of parts for those equipment stuff to them. I want to be in.
I didn't say that. I'd like to still go through Dana. Usually does, and then he contacts us when it's something major. Like, are you really going to do
Why does
it?
it have to go through Dana?
They can contact each one of us. We all have the authority to approve it. So we could do it that way.
I
So
want to discuss it.
every repair.
It always before we discussed it.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden we don't discuss it anymore. We don't do it. They tell.
So what if we need what if something has a flat? We're going to all sit down and discuss it first, or wait till the next commissioners meeting?
Oh, okay.
You know?
Whatever you say.
Some things are pretty simple, obvious, they have to be fixed.
Whatever you say. I know if it's on the agenda, I know you're going to change.
I would like to know on a large shared expense repair and maintenance expenditure, is that going to be something that you're going to leave up to Dana? I mean, at what point should you all discuss it?
Most of the things, I can't remember what the last transmission or something seemed like on something. We all called around and make sure we knew it was going to be over $5,000 or something one time.
Well, do we want to set a dollar amount? I mean, I agree.
Yeah,
that
we could set a dollar
nickel and dime stuff, we don't have to have a consensus meeting, but on a large expenditure, I do think you ought to discuss that.
Is this $48,000 in road and bridge a one-time thing? That's just something that's left over we could use to spend on what we want to in road and bridge? That'd be a good idea for it for now, and then next year do this budget each precinct.
You can do that, but then that leaves you no money for next year.
Yeah, we'll have to budget it next year.
It's still there.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do it that way too.
I'd just like to make one final.
We're going to need some money in there because we're going to have some repairs here in the future.
We have increased that budget in the last year by $100,000. We've turned over all the decision-making. If they want to work on a piece of equipment or they want to send it to Bain, they do it. It don't make any difference. They want to buy all the parts. They want to buy tires and stuff like this. That way, they'll charge it to us when we do it. So no telling, there's no limit on them. And you've created an entity by having it like it is, and y'all say they're always busy. Well, you know it, everybody knows it. They got a buzzer, they sit in the office. I've done it 100 times, not 100, 10 times. And you can go through one of the other doors and they're still sitting in the office, and we've got this created all this extra paperwork for them that's absolutely unnecessary, and that's it. And then when they hear the buzzer ring, they go out of the office. They go to lunch at 2 o'clock.
Okay. Hey, well, it looks here, I'll just table this.
Because it's the same song, 55th verse.
Well, I want people
when you
to
get these guys to change their minds on that shop, then we'll do it different.
I want people to understand how much money we're wasting. And that's part of our responsibility.
We hear it from you on a regular basis. I don't know how much more you can explain to us. We understand your opinion.
Do they understand that since 2013, their taxes have gone up 63%? We want to claim the appraisal district. Our spending has went from $9 million something a year to $15 million a year.
Okay.
That's the commissioner's court. That's us. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That has nothing to do with the appraisal.
That's why we have an election process.
Yeah, that's right. If we hide the truth from the people, they might vote you back in.
They might.
Or anybody, because they think that the appraisal district.
Barbara, what's your number one recommendation on this one? I kind of like to go with the experts.
Well, my recommendation is we just put money into your budget, and y'all all agree that you're not planning to spend all that, but these things you can share equipment repairs within your current budget, and leave this money alone that's in here in
I see, yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or there may be something that breaks down that y'all all use that you want to spend that for in the future.
I like that.
And you don't have to have those budget again, we don't need any action on this today.
That's right. We don't need to. We're doing it already.
You may want to discuss something like Judge Lee suggested, if you're going to discuss among yourselves if it's over $5,000 or an expense like that.
I say we could table it now because we're already dividing them by 4, so we'll know what we're spending. But we could make a motion, fellas, that we approve it. We all know by word of mouth. We'll get a hold of each other and find out when there's. We can tell whoever's working on it, Jeff or Terry, that we approve a expenditure over $1,000, and that we're going to know that we're fixing to be out.
I'm going to call on.
We're going to spend what do y'all need?
Go ahead. I'm going to ask. Teresa's got something to say.
Okay. So that's an idea.
Okay, so you're going to set gentleman's agreement, expenditures over $1,000, and you're going to make sure Jeff and Terry understand this, that you would like to be able to discuss these shared equipment repair and maintenance expenditures that come up, to be sure that you all are in agreement with how they propose to fix and spend and what vendor to use.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So do we need eventually, would you like to set up a new account?
We can do that in our budget time this year and start next year doing it, really. Okay.
Do you need approval for that today, to add that line item? Do you ever need approval for it? Okay. So we don't have an agenda item that we need to act on right now. Okay. Ms. Carlisle?
Y'all need to stop and think that we're spending taxpayers' money. I might not spend it, but I want it there in case I do. We all know the temptation's there, and it gets spent before you know it's gone. You've got businesses and you've got personal people that are not going to survive this year. Tax rates are still, the property values are still going up. There's going to be more that we're going to have to pay out. We're not going to have it if we survive it for you to come back and do this again.
That's right. This whole next year is going to be totally different.
Of having money left over to spend if we want to.
I agree with you. And so, yes, next year's budget's going to be for sure different.
Okay. Item number.
Are we going to make a motion on that $1,000?
I don't want to make a motion.
Get it in the record.
I don't want to make a motion.
We'll just go with the flow like we do now. Find out what's broke, fix it.
Well, I can tell you. They
like
can tell me they're going to fix mine last or not. I end
just
up
talking about the
taking mine
shared
to bank.
equipment. So let's just make a motion on that shared equipment when something breaks down, as we're using it. That if it's over $1,000, we all know about it first before we
and approve it.
Approve it.
I think.
Okay.
I don't know how we have to have $1,000. Why can't we just do it to start with? It's all of our money.
On every repair on that.
On that shared equipment, I'd like to know. Yeah, like the teeth. My guys are griping because another one didn't buy the new teeth for it. So then they want to buy it in the shop. Said they'd get a good price. We'll buy our own our new teeth. I mean, that's ridiculous. But they're creating them an entity, so and y'all are going for it, so might as well just let them go ahead and do it.
Your motion, or
I'll just drop it. You think it's really necessary, Dana, on every purchase, on every repair?
Well, I'll call everybody because
you do good as it is, and we usually know when something's down.
Well, we got Al's backhoe in there now, trying to get it fixed and everything, and then other day here about this past winter, you said you're gonna get a new shredder, and all of a sudden now you want your shredder fixed. You think it was going to be able to do it in one day. It's going to take time. You got to turn it over.
What are you talking about?
You're shredding.
What are you talking about? It's been 2 or 3 weeks since
when would you want to buy that shredder?
Who?
How long were you was looking at a shredder to buy? How long? 2 or 3 months?
It's been over a month
But you told them not to worry about it. You're just going to buy a new shredder. Did you not?
We're not going to have a motion on this.
I just say I'll leave it alone.
Moving on to item number 8, discuss county operations in light of COVID-19 with possible action to follow. I don't have anything. I think we had great input today from our business folks, and one thing I do want to give you all the option to do. We have orders that are in place through the 30th, which is this Thursday, and essentially we can go over those. You know, the social distancing, we're requiring businesses that desire to stay open to have a written plan on their door, how they're going to conduct business and maintain social distancing requirements. We added another layer onto that a week ago, last Friday, that essentially talking about masks and requiring masking by customers and employees that are on the front line when they go to our retail stores or restaurants that conduct business with takeout and order takeaway styles within their businesses. Now, you've heard some of these folks today say, please take away the masking orders. You have the ability to do that. I think that it's a good idea, and the folks that I meet with each day still feel like that's a good idea. We haven't issued any fines. Nobody's gone to jail. We have encouraged these local businesses, but we are not utilizing law enforcement to do that. I still believe it's a good idea to hold this in place through the end of the day on Thursday, and then we look forward to beginning Friday morning with a new set of parameters that will hopefully get some guidance from the governor today, but I don't know what that's going to be. I want all these restaurants to be able to be back open, our nail techs, our barbers, our salons, et cetera, with essentially recommendations coming from the county, not regulations with the threat of fine or jail time. So I guess this is a good place right here to ask you all, do you want to make any changes in today's existing orders?
I don't like the mask order. I just don't feel like it's my right to enforce that on folks. But I feel like as a safety reason, I highly recommend it. I think it's good for people to wear a mask and it's safer for folks. But I don't think it has to be a law requirement like we're doing. So,
okay. Thank you. April?
I guess I should have said something about this earlier. On the requirement of the mask, the way the state of the government is going, why have we become a nanny state? What happens to people taking personal responsibility for themselves? If you're sick, stay home. If you feel that your health is compromised and you're one of those individuals that you know that you could catch something, by all means, take care of yourself and wear a mask. We've come to a nation where we are putting out PSA announcements of telling people, wash your hands, cover your mouth when you cough. That's something I would expect you have to sit there and tell a 2 or 5-year-old. Not any one of us in here where we should have to dictate to somebody else. Guess what? In order to keep me safe, you have to wear a mask. We need to start taking personal responsibilities for ourselves and not dictating what others in this town, in this state, in this nation are doing.
Amen.
I mean, you know, they talk about the Democratic Party wanting to become the old socialistic, that the whole socialism. We've got a generation of kids who are expecting, you know, to go to college and get a basket beauty degree, and then go to a job and expect to make $20 an hour. What happened to working your way up, forgiveness of student loans? John, you went to college? Who paid your student loans? Judge? Did anybody pay did any other entity pay your student loans?
Fortunately, I didn't have to have one. I was very blessed.
Exactly. I mean, I was very fortunate. You know, they talk about college. The only reason I got my degrees is because I did my time in the military. I put myself on the line for that benefit. And it's not anymore. It's not anymore. It's like, who's going to go back to work when they've got the Social Security and the unemployment benefits where they're making more money on unemployment than they are out doing their job?
And they're not going back to work.
They're not going
They're not going to.
Exactly. And then you know what?
right.
wrong. And we're telling them, look at what Ms. Cobern said about these kids. They're having, it's a sad state of affairs when the schools are still giving out lunches so that some of these kids have meals, but yet you have to bring your student or you have to bring your child in order to benefit from it. I believe that we need to take care of one another, but not at the expense of somebody else just sitting home and not giving them their job, and then the rest of us telling everybody, well, you have to do this to keep yourself safe. We need to get back to people taking personal responsibility for yourself.
That's right.
How many people? So when flu season comes out, just the regular flu season, are we going to shut down this town again and force everybody to wear a mask and close everything so that nobody gets the flu? Like you said yourself earlier, Judge, how many people got the COVID who are in the same family? What happens when you get the flu at home?
It does the same.
Your husband gets it, your spouse gets it, you pick it up from school, and the kids bring it home. Take personal responsibility for yourself. In this town, you need to put faith sitting in everybody and tell them what to do.
The majority of people are not wearing this mask anyway, and I was on Lowe's. It was crazy because they had no tax, and it was crazy.
Well, people
The regular people, and most of the people that are receiving these benefits are the ones not wearing a mask and the highest risk. So, I mean, it's a common sense thing.
But we've lost all sense of common sense in this nation, that it's not common sense.
There is no common sense.
Wash their hands and cover their mouths. It's wrong.
Are you wearing a mask?
Yes, I sure am.
Are you wearing a mask, Al?
Am I what?
Are you wearing a mask when you go out?
No. I'm,
Jimmy?
Yes, I'm wearing.
Yes.
The only reason I'm wearing it is because I'm told that I have to.
I don't like it.
Neither do I. I'm not supposed to vote about it. Let's go.
I'd like to make a motion that we stop the mask ordinance.
I'd like to make a motion, we drop the closing ordinance and let them open. I don't know whether we even have the authority to do that or not, but I think that we should if we possibly
Tell me
could.
what you'd like to open.
The cafe.
Restaurants and...
Restaurants,
Okay.
everybody, you let them use their own
Do you
discretion.
understand? But can we talk one at a time? I've got one motion on the floor here. I need a second, or I need to drop it and do something else. We got a motion here to remove the legal requirement currently existing in Mount Pleasant and Titus County, which extends through Thursday night at 11:59 p.m. to make it a requirement to wear a mask when you are in a retail store or you're an employee. That's what I believe you're saying. Let's stop as of right now.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Once again, I'm going to tell you guys, I could fill up this room in the Civic Center with a variety of opinions. I very much respect this opinion, and that's my personal line of thinking. But I have a larger responsibility than just catering to the people in this room. And I specifically, with the support of my advisory team, believed that it was prudent to go through the end of the month, the 30th, with these masking orders. I think it's a mistake to remove them right now. Am I going to die if we reverse it here? Absolutely not. But I am telling you that it's going to be gone come the 1st of May. But I do think it's prudent we leave it in place until that time. But anyway, I have a motion and a second to remove masking orders. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I've got 3.
Nay.
You got a nay and a nay here. All right, I'm going to put out the word today. I want to discuss this with my guys and figure out the best way, and talk with our county attorney to figure out how we get this word out as quickly as possible. Okay? I know it'll take some time, even if we do it right now, to get the word out. But that's what's been voted on here in Commissioner's Court today, is we will change the requirement to a recommendation.
That's right.
Highly recommended.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm still wearing mine. I'm gonna take this one. I know you're. I know.
Certainly, sure.
And I know that.
That's her point, is everybody's going to find what's
Right.
best for him. What's best for your business, what's best for your family, what's best for you as an individual. Okay, did you have another motion that you would like to make?
That we let the businesses open.
Okay, and
I
tell
know-
the governor, sorry, we're going to ignore your order and do what we want.
Well, I don't know if we legally can. Can we legally ignore his order?
I'd hate to have to.
I don't think legally you can, but I know that there are people out there that suggest that that's one way that you could do it, is say, we are here in Titus County ignoring the governor's orders to keep nail salons and barbers and restaurants closed.
I mean, if we can't do it legally, I don't want to do it. I mean, I don't.
Because I'd hate to.
I don't think you can do it legally. I can't do it with a good conscience. I would strongly recommend that we not do that. I don't know. I just don't want to be labeled as the county that said, thank you, Governor, we know what's best for us. We're talking about a few more days here. Huh?
I'm sorry, how come we don't? Why can't Titus
How come we don't?
be the first one to take personal
You're giving me your opinion, and I respect it. I'm giving you my opinion.
I'd hate to know that if we had a big outbreak and we'd had to have help, and they said, "No, you didn't abide by our rules, so we're not going to help you." And that's an option. You know, I don't want to have to figure that.
Well, let me
Like I said,
let me say this. I really believe that our economy is damaged. I don't agree with Trump that it's going to bounce right back, and I disagree. I'm 83 years old. I'm one of the vulnerable people to get it. And I had rather me get virus and die than I had your kids and my kids not to have the opportunity. And with this economy going like it is and the government going like it is, I believe that we're making a mistake by doing it. That's my opinion.
Because it's worse than it was 9/11. Our economy is. We never thought about being.
I'm hoping the governor's
Right.
going to open up some stuff today, but it would bring a lot of legal.
You want to make a motion or drop the motion? You want to make a motion?
No, I don't want to make the motion.
Anybody else under this heading of number 8, where we're discussing county operations? Okay. On the what? Okay, what was voted was that the Commissioner's Court is going to bring to a close, and I've got to be sure that we can legally do this. I think that we can, but I want to be sure.
That wasn't a state mandate, was it? That was just something that we decided.
I want to be sure that we can cut off our orders that were intended to expire on the 30th. But what we're saying is we're going to change the mandatory masking in our retail stores to strong recommendation. So that we're immediately telling folks, if you don't wear a mask, you're not going to be in trouble. We are taking away all legal punishments related to failure to wear a mask in retail stores. I'm not amending anything. We voted on this. That was what the vote. That was what the vote was to, instead of letting the current orders expire at 11:59, we're going to make a modification, and we're going to remove the punishment aspect of failing to wear a mask in retail stores. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way. Recommended and voluntary and not mandatory. Okay. Anything else along that line? Item number 9, approve oral and written reports. I think you've got those handed out to you.
Make a motion.
Motion for approval of oral and written reports of county officials made by Commissioner Applewhite.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Parker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 10, our treasurer's report, which I think you've got a copy in front of you as well.
Make a motion to approve the report.
Motion to approve treasurer's report made by Commissioner Fitch.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Let me get your signature on both of these. Item 11, approved budget amendments. Barbara, you got any budget amendments? They're just the one, is that it? Okay, this budget amendment is affects 1, 2, 4 accounts, and it looks to me like you are taking some contingency money to refill oil and gas, is that right? $3,000. This is the gas and oil account and the repairs and maintenance account that are approaching zero. We've been talking about that. Commissioner Fitch requested the movement of funds from one line item to another, which results in no change to the overall budget. No change to the overall budget. This affects gas and oil, repair and maintenance, and then we're plucking some money out of road materials to put into that repair and maintenance account for shared equipment.
Repair and maintenance.
Yeah, we're putting money into gas and oil for the gas. Let me read this again. Reason for this adjustment that affects 4 accounts. The gas and oil account and the repairs and maintenance account are approaching zero. And this is related to the shared equipment, Barbara?
No, this is
not
my
necessarily.
precinct.
This is all precinct. I'm sorry, this is all precinct 2. I
Yeah.
apologize. I should have read the top up there.
I got a few still outstanding repairs that's going to come through.
So we're going to take some money out of your road materials and put it into repair and maintenance and gas and oil.
I thought they was going to take all of it out.
Well, that money that we're fixing to get moved will replenish that for me.
Do we need to do this then?
Yeah, this is just, you're not, we should have an emergency before you start amending the budget. None of this is just poor management is why this thing budget's not anything to do with the.
Seems to me we could do away with this, but
You can't
I
just
thought
change,
you had to vote on a budget amendment.
you just can't change a budget because you feel good.
well, we've moved money within accounts all the time. And
What?
we move money within different accounts in our budget from one line item to another all the time.
True.
And that's what he's doing here.
I don't see where he's taking it from anything.
Well, he's putting money into his gas and oil account. He's taking it out of his repairs and maintenance, and then he's taking it out of his road materials. He's putting it into repairs and maintenance and gas and oil.
Yeah, part of it. Okay.
You don't have to really, since I'm getting that new money. I had $20,000 for my fuel for all of my equipment and everything for this year, and it got down to I don't know, about $3,000. So I decided to move some money over there to finish out the year. We were just doing so much more this year and so much more mowing and side cutting, I guess, and everything. It took more fuel than I budgeted for. Yeah, every time I buy gas now, it's cheaper. So I don't know how much cheaper it'll get. Yeah, I stocked up on it during this. That's why it kind of depleted that fund. So we don't really have to do this amendment really with that money that we're moving out of our rollover. I can just, we're going to end up doing it again anyway, aren't we? Anyway, you can do it now, do it later.
Do you want to remove this budget amendment?
No, I just want to go ahead and do this. I don't want none of my bills to get, I need to pay a few things that are still outstanding on some repairs. So.
So Commissioner Fitch
Make a motion that
is
we do
asking
it.
for you to approve his budget amendment request that affects his precinct. Sure.
I had quite a few repairs, a lot of tires I've had to buy. A couple front ends went out on some trucks on repairs in my repair budget, which didn't, I think it started out with probably $6,000 in it or something. Then on oil and gas, I guess there's so much hauling wrap and running the roads, and I've got over 300 hours on that side cutter already. Just running equipment all the time is working more. Yeah. But we have different money in line items. I didn't put as much in my line items maybe as they did maybe in oil and gas. They may have more in it than I did, or repairs. So I put more money into road material and that road oil, which is what we use emulsion for. So I have quite a bit of money in those two accounts, and I had less. I took a lot of stuff, small tools. I took a lot of different line items in my budget and put them into other things this year. So I know next year probably make sure to put $40,000 in that gas and oil for my equipment. No, I'm just moving it around inside my own budget to pay my bills. Yeah, and I've got it now too. I'm sure everybody that Precinct 2 is in good shape to finish out a great year, to do a lot more work this summer. But taking that money that's there to be spent, to be used as a cushion for a safety net for me also. It needs to be moved anyway, as far as I see it. It's money that needs to be used on these roads. So, yes, I do both. We do a key-in system. Everyone has keys that registers what they got fuel for. Plus, we have logs out there for gas or diesel. And we log down the vehicle, and we have 3 ways to monitor how many gallons goes in off that pump. We have a large clock dial that we installed. We have the dial on the pump itself, plus we have the total gallons that are used each month. The other meters, 3 meters that meter it. So yeah, we keep up with it. But yeah, I just happened to use a lot of fuel this year. I don't know how much they have left in theirs. I guess I had maybe $3,000 left in gas, maybe $3,500. They go a long ways, but I wanted to make sure I had plenty more in there. I want to make sure I've got enough in there. So that's where I'm moving it to. And if we don't use it the rest of the year, what's left over will be in that rollover fund balance for next year. So, yeah. No, I may have to pull some out of there later on for road materials, or pull something out if I had to buy a set of tires for a tractor or something. You never know. So that at the end of the summer, you'll see more of these little amendments, budget amendments, as we move monies around and such. Pretty common. I'm real pleased. Hey, to me, it looks like I can see. I know I've got a lot of work done this year. I know we've been busy. If we don't just ride roads and looking and checking on things, that's something I don't want to be seen doing. We're riding roads because we're working, and we're busy all the time. So it's a good thing. A lot of work getting done. I think they're doing exactly what I'm doing. They just had a little, they got a little more money when they started than I did in their budget. It's our choice how much we want to put in there.
Started with the same thing.
Okay,
So
got a motion.
I imagine we all average about the same amount of miles a year driving. So
Have a motion for these adjustments within Commissioner Fitch's accounts. I'll second it. All in favor of approving this budget amendment that impacts Precinct 2, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Item number 12, sign pay orders and approve payments of bills.
make a motion to pay our bills.
Motion's made by Commissioner Fitch.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 13, closing comments, if any. Commissioner Precinct 1.
I'd like to say that I wish that we could have our meetings in the evening, and I know that y'all don't want to do this before, and I've made that motion every year, and you all said because the attendance, but I have them for 1 year, and the attendance was a lot greater of citizens. And the reason we had the attendance at all, we brought vendors in during the daytime. So for the public's purpose and thing we need to have the meetings at night. And I wish that y'all would consider it again, reconsider it, because you've already voted it no. But I wish that the commissioner would reconsider it. I think the citizens would appreciate it, and I know that y'all don't want to, but I think it would be good.
Anything else?
That's it.
I just hope all this here clears up pretty quick where we can get back to our lives, and just pray for those ones that are sick and one that lost loved ones because of this.
Commissioner Fitch, I skipped you.
I just hope we get some good news from the state today, from the governor. We get to go opening back up, and I just pray everybody will stay safe and use precaution and to protect yourself from this virus and protect others.
Commissioner Parker?
I have nothing, Judge.
Okay. Calls piling up. Thought it was a great meeting today. I love to hear when people come with good ideas and comments. And, you know, we heard from a variety of business owners today. My goodness, I sure hope we can do something this Friday with the governor's blessing and with the blessing of the medical community that will enable our businesses to get back open and to begin the crawl back up to their better days of sales. I believe that we can do it. I believe this community will respect one another in the way that they conduct their business and their personal lives, where we can maintain a reasonable level of the existence of COVID cases. I don't think we're going to eliminate it, but that's sure the goal. But in the meantime, we will hope to be able to all work together and find that balance for one another. But great day of interaction. Long meeting, but sometimes that happens. That's all I've got. Motion to adjourn will be considered when there's a motion by Commissioner Parker. Second by Commissioner Fitch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned.